Hello, my name is Jane Clark. I'm a consultant clinical psychologist working here at St James's in Leeds. Over the years I've worked with lots of people who've gone through the experience of cancer, and they've talked to me about what that's felt like. Many people talk about the diagnosis of cancer as like stepping on a roller coaster, where you're sent off into the world of an unknown world, not knowing what's ahead of you, and just having to follow the hospital and the appointments and the surgery wherever it takes you. And there's nothing you can do about it, and you just hang on for dear life and just get through as best you can. And it's only maybe at the end, when you're back on solid ground, where you could look back and think about what you've been through over the last few weeks, months, and really start to feel the emotions that maybe have been held back because you've been busy attending your surgery, attending your chemotherapy, or whatever treatment that you've had. So it's often at the end of treatment that people experience the most psychological reaction, really, and start to really go through the emotions of what they've been through. And the range of emotions is huge. You might feel one emotion for an hour and the next one for a couple of minutes. There isn't a linear process to what we're feeling. The emotions can be really positive. It can feel really happy that you've finally finished this treatment, really positive, optimistic about the future, and hopeful. For some of you might still have ongoing treatments for years ahead of you, where you might be taking certain tablets, so maybe it doesn't quite feel the same sense of ending as other people have. And certainly some patients talk about feeling a real anticlimax at the end of their treatment, and they lose their close contact with the clinical team, which can be really hard. Some people almost describe feeling abandoned and alone and left to cope with the consequences of all this treatment by themselves. So it can be a really difficult time point for some people. People sometimes say, my family's really moved on, they've celebrated the end of treatment and now they've moved on. But for the patients themselves, they're only just starting to look back over that roller coaster and start to make some sense of what they've been through. What I would say as a psychologist is all these emotions are okay. If at all possible, let them come and let them go. And don't judge yourself for your reaction. It's really, really normal to find this a difficult time. You've been through a lot. Okay, so I've talked about the roller coaster metaphor or analogy, and here's another one for you. Imagine progress through life is a bit like being on a small boat. You've got your map, you've got your compass to guide you and make sure you stay on the track you want to go. And maybe you know where you want to go to, you've got your islands of safety, you've worked out the world and the way it works. And most of the time you can sail along through life and you weather the expected and the unexpected storms that sometimes occur in everyday life. But then all of a sudden, without warning, there's a really huge unexpected storm that throws you around on your boat. You just hold on for dear life again. Your maps are thrown overboard, the compass goes, and you just get through that very difficult storm. And then after that, the storm lifts. Maybe it's still foggy and you don't quite know where you're going. Your boat probably needs many repairs, but it's still afloat. It's damaged, it's changed, but it's still afloat. And you need to kind of work out what needs to be repaired and mended, what's broken and damaged, what's washed overboard and no longer useful to you. And maybe you then look out to sea and notice actually it's not a calm day, there's no blue sky, it's still quite foggy. Your sea charts have been lost. You're not quite sure of your position anymore, whether you're still facing the same way, and where you actually want to go anymore. So although the sea is calmer, things still feel unsettled, and the world just feels less stable than before. And maybe thoughts of where you should be going, where you want to go, what next, just assault you and add to your worry and uncertainty. And this may be what it feels like for you at the end of treatment, still reeling from the kind of physical, emotional and practical demands of treatment, and left contemplating an uncertain and possibly frightening future. So what we need to think about are the kind of tasks to help you repair and rebuild. I think nowadays we spend less time thinking about how to recover from serious surgery or treatment, chemotherapy, radiotherapy. And I really encourage you to think about how to repair your body, rebuild, and slowly get your health and your body back together. It's a big thing to go through. And we can be quite critical of ourselves sometimes and really beat ourselves up for not coping better, not being further along with our recovery. How come this person is now off running a marathon and I find it difficult just to get off the sofa? So I really encourage you to be compassionate towards yourself, to appreciate what you've been through, and just take some time to really recover. And part of that recovery is also allowing yourself time to make sense of your experience. How does this fit with my map of the world? How can I weave this experience into my life tapestry? Where am I going now? And what's important to me in my life right now? And those are huge psychological issues to work through. They're exhausting at a time when you're already maybe quite depleted. So really encourage you to take time with your family and friends to kind of reassess, take stock, and think about where to go next.